Good afternoon.
Hi, Shelby. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
Happy Friday. And
Yeah.
this wonderful day, even though it's a little muggy. These chats are really meant to be pretty informal, just more so of a general profile of you and your career, just to kind of show prospective students maybe, or people looking to switch careers, maybe what their trajectory could look like. Aside from interest piece, of course, of who you are and what you guys do over there at Haldimand County. So maybe it would be best to start out with you giving a little bit of an outline of how you got to where you are now. Would that be okay?
Sure. Yeah. I guess I kind of took a different path to get to my current position as the project manager of the forestry division with Haldimand County. So in my current position with Haldimand County, I'm responsible for looking after the maintenance of all the county-owned street trees, park trees, cemetery trees, trees at our facilities, as well as all of our rural highways and concession roads, which covers a lot of the urban forestry components, kind of the our arboriculture work, actually maintaining and taking care of individual trees, as well as some traditional forestry or logging operations. We have a few county forests that we manage sustainably, and we have a forest conservation bylaw where we assist private landowners with managing the forest on their property. So, to kind of get to this point, back in high school, I actually really enjoyed our drafting classes. So we had technical drafting, using AutoCAD systems to print out detailed designs. And my guidance counselor had asked me, well, what are you interested in? I'm like, well, I kind of like drafting. I kind of like working outdoors. I kind of like doing that kind of work. And they had suggested that I pursue a career in landscape design, landscape architecture. So I looked into the programs at Fanshawe College in London, and they have a very good, robust landscape design program, which kind of broadened my world outside of just the detailed technical drafting that I was looking at. We got into biology, ecosystems, and learning about how the natural world works, and then designing within the sustainable balance of the natural world. From that point, I transitioned into the undergraduate program at the University of Guelph in the landscape architecture
Cool.
design in landscape in environment, a lot of management, and looking at all the different layers, the watershed, the plants and animals, the natural heritage, and kind of really got me interested in the planning and natural heritage side of things. By the time I graduated from that program, we were right in the middle of kind of the early recession in 2008, and there weren't too many landscape jobs available. So I decided to kind of focus on the one area that caught my attention, which was trees. And a lot of the landscape designs, kind of the big features that really anchored a landscape were the large, mature existing trees at a property. And it really interested me in how to better incorporate those into the landscape designs and just to expand my knowledge to become more familiar with how to care for really the largest aspects of the landscape. So I ended up going to Sir Stamford Fleming College and pursued certificates in the arboriculture and urban forestry programs to learn how to properly manage trees on the landscape. So I kind of continued, kind of finished off my educational process, and I was fortunate enough to get my first kind of full-time job with Norfolk County, which is Simcoe's kind of the largest town just south of Brantford, kind of Tillsonburg area, uh, which was a great place to start your career because it's in the middle of Carolinian Canada. It has one of the highest forest covers in southern Ontario. Pretty much every unique tree species that grows in the Carolinian ecosystem will grow there. So that's where I really got exposed to some amazing landscapes. And Norfolk County actually has a small forestry industry. There's working within the forestry department there. I assisted the forester with looking after some of the timber harvesting, logging permits, and the forest conservation bylaw at that time, and became more exposed to the forestry aspect. So kind of looking at managing large areas, large populations of trees, and kind of the traditional what most people think is kind of the traditional logging forestry sector. So that was great. I was my primary role at Norfolk was as the arborist and urban forester looking after the urban trees, but I really got exposed to the traditional forestry aspect. So throughout my time there, I started looking at um, going back to school, doing a few online courses to work towards my registered professional forester designation with the Ontario Association of Professional Foresters. And that kind of transitioned after my tenure at Norfolk. I got my current job here at Haldimand County. At that time, it was just a department of one person, just me. So I was kind of wearing all of the hats, but through all my previous education and work experience, it actually fit really well in my current role. I was able to address the urban forestry issues, the planning issues, and the forestry issues. And it was kind of neat how my previous educational and work experience kind of weaved all those paths together to really set me up in a good place to understand and be able to do the work I'm doing now as the project manager of forestry.
Well, that is quite the description. When I asked for one, you delivered. Wow. Surprisingly, maybe to you, that's the most linear trajectory I've heard so far from these career chats. Usually they take a left turn and somebody's done an undergrad in math and then end up working with seals or something as a career. So, not as crazy as you might think, but I appreciate that your experience also follows a lot of other people's in which they started out a little bit more broad and then found that one niche that they were like, oh, this is exactly the thing that I want to focus on and hone in on, and then you did. So that's great. I can't imagine being the only person in your department working on everything. That must have been a little bit overwhelming at the time, but it seems like after 10 years, you said, with Norfolk County, that you maybe knew a thing or two by then.
Yeah, we really started to develop it, and Haldimand and Norfolk used to be amalgamated, and then they split apart. So even during my tenure at Norfolk, I was doing a lot of the forestry extension services for Haldimand County. So I was working for 6 years at Norfolk. I've been at Haldimand for 8, but really it's been kind of all working within in the same area, and it's interesting from another person's perspective to see how linear the path seems. Looking back on it, it seems like, oh yeah, it was logical step by step, but when I was sitting in that first class at Fanshawe College taking landscape design, I would have never been able to predict that I would be working in the forestry side of things. So it's no education is wasted.
For
There's little
sure.
components of the landscape design. I mean, I'm still drafting technical landscape details for how to plant street trees. So one of the very first thing that got me interested and started me down the path is something that is part of my job now, and all the different experiences we got exposed to learning how to do some tendering just when I was a junior arborist with Norfolk County, and then that paid off 7 years down the road or 6 years down the road when I am getting the job at Norfolk, which involves a lot of the tendering in this position. So for anyone that's going through the process, even like you said, even if they're starting out in maths, you never know how it's going to apply down the road in your future career, and no education, none of the experience is wasted.
Absolutely. That was something in the last chat with Kristen from DataSpire. That was something that we really were hammering home because her trajectory, similar to mine, is kind of crazy and all over the place, but everything ended up being useful in some way in the types of jobs that we have now. So definitely a great message to hit home. I was wondering whether you had other words of wisdom, maybe specifically for forestry people, since you are our first forestry person to be in these career chats.
Definitely get involved with the professional associations. For anyone that's looking, they're a student still, or they're graduating high school and looking for post-secondary education. The registered professional forestry profession. Um, It is a legally registered profession, so they do have what's called a title practice and a practice act, which means that you have to be a member of the association to call yourself a forester, and you also have to be a member of the association to practice forestry. And there's a specific scope of work within their legislation that says only foresters are able to do this work. So it's really important for any students that are looking at programs to make sure that the program is accredited with the association. That'll just provide them with a fast track to be able to get their full designation once they graduate. Right now, I think it's 18 months of experience post-graduation, and then they would be able to apply for their full membership. I didn't go through accredited forestry program. I kind of learned through my experience at Norfolk, and I was taking some of the online classes. And it's definitely still doable. It just takes a lot more time. I think I was kind of consistently picking away at a course every couple months, and it was about 4 years of doing that work before I was able to obtain my full membership. And the annual conferences for any of the forestry professions for the International Society of Arboriculture in Ontario chapter has a great annual conference to network and make connections with professionals in the field. As I mentioned before, the Ontario Professional Foresters Association, they also have a great network. Some of the people I met at my first conference, I'm still in touch with. Hey, I'm looking for some specifications for treating invasive Phragmites, and they'll send me along what they're doing, and we all share resource information. And then Shelby, you and I were able to meet in another great group with one of the woodlot owner associations. So it's amazing. Just get involved with as many of the professional associations as possible, and there will be so many people willing to help you along your career path. Yeah, it's amazing the people that we meet early on, and we're still connected with and working together on different projects.
Yeah, yeah. It was the Ontario Woodlot Association branch chapter, I believe, was the
Yes.
annual general meeting that we met at. Wonderful people and totally open to students, which I think a lot of people don't realize you don't need to be a landowner to be a part of the association and go to these meetings or the walks that they have or events like that. It's totally open to anybody. Sometimes it's members only, but to be a student member, I think it's like $15 or something or $20. It's nothing crazy expensive anyways, but you make such good connections as as we did there. We've also been saying in these career chats with different people from different fields that sometimes cold emailing as well or cold LinkedIn reach out is also fruitful, depending on the type of person that you reach out to. Everyone seems very friendly and willing to help you. If they're not your connection, then they probably know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody that'll be the person for you. So that was another recommendation that we'd like to drive home is don't be scared to email people. Worst
No,
thing that can happen is they don't answer.
with
But
LinkedIn's a great resource. And a lot of the professionals, even when I was doing some of my online courses, I reached out to some of the Ministry of Natural Resource and Forestry staff that I'd never met before. And hey, I'm doing this course and I need to know about forest modeling for growth and yield 200 years down the road. And great resource. Even if they didn't know, they would pass me along to someone else that had worked on the growth and yield sampling plots for the ministry, and just yeah, the environmental community is a very friendly community. We're all working together, trying to achieve the same things, and happy to help everyone else along.
yeah, it seems that way. It seems like that in general, especially with forestry people that I've met, you guys are all very friendly to people that you don't know, which has been really nice. I was wondering, what are some of your most interesting projects or favorite projects that you've had a chance to work on, or maybe a landowner situation that was your favorite, or something that you've had a chance to have your hands in that
Hmm.
really was your favorite thing of that year, maybe?
There's a few different projects. I don't get the chance to work on them anymore, but when I was doing helping out with some of the forestry work at Norfolk County, we did some of the managed forest tax incentive program plans for landowners. That's a program that the ministry has for reducing the tax rate for landowners that are willing to put their forested area into a management plan. So there's a nice tax savings for landowners. And it was just such an exciting project to work on. You get to meet new people, and everyone was really excited to share all the interesting natural features about their properties. We got to see some amazing trees, some amazing landscapes that landowners across Norfolk County were just voluntarily doing on their properties, and it was amazing. They were really the unsung heroes of kind of the environmental process is just regular people just trying to do what's right and work on their property. And it was super exciting to see some of those projects. With my current position in Haldimand County, um, we've been really working on our tree inventory and data analysis. I do enjoy some of the statistics and the technical work, and it's really exciting to see some of that coming together. We've just worked on consolidating our entire tree inventory, so all the county-owned trees that we know to date that we've documented, and we were working on, hopefully in the next week or so, rolling out an exciting map for our residents, which will be a public viewable map, which will basically show all the tree information that we have, any of the tree maintenance that we have scheduled for the trees, scheduled for when the work is going to be completed, and really sharing all that information with our residents. It's basically sharing with them all the information that we get to see. So it's exciting to see that get rolled out and to share that information with our community.
That's great. I think that that's a barrier for a lot of people in counties is that it's not as easy to figure out what's going on unless you attend the meetings that happen or you happen to see an online bulletin. So I think that that's a great idea, and it's really opens up to the public their opinions on things and feedback. And I find that landowner opinions are really helpful. They know their land better than anybody else usually. And even people who are renting and they're just residents, they know what happens in their backyard. And I find that to be the best feedback that I've ever received, anyways, whenever we've done any sort of field work in positions that I've had before, is to ask them and say, well, this is what our models are saying, but what really happens in the spring to your basement? And things of that nature, and how many trees do you have back here, and how many more do you think you could fit, and what creatures do you get around here so we can pick those trees better, or things like that. So I think that's a great idea, and I'm really excited for that to roll out. Will that be later this year?
Yes, well, we're hoping this month. So we'll, if
That's
everything goes well, we're excited to see that come out. And like you had said, the residents really know more about the individual tree at their property than we do, and we've gotten so many great leads about unique tree species, hazardous trees that need maintenance. Just we're stopped on the side of a street, and then a neighbor down the road will come over and talk to us and share some information that we wouldn't have been able to find out any other way. So it's we're really hoping that this tool will be a catalyst for hopefully some more interactive web mapping and some more exciting projects in the future.
That's great. Yeah. Will you be updating it with feedback from residents? Like once it's published, I presume that there will be probably an influx of people giving their opinions about the different projects that you have going on. Are you looking at maybe updating that as that feedback rolls in, if it's possible to tweak those plans?
Yeah, so any resident feedback that we get about our projects, we always take that to heart and consider it. A lot of our current pruning specifications have been based off of resident feedback that we've received over the years. The map, it's not quite 100% live data, but it's definitely going to reflect what's happening on the ground fairly closely as we get out and review the work that's being done by our contractors. That will update on the map. Definitely, anytime one of our inspectors goes out to take a look at a tree, as soon as they classify that tree, if it needs some trimming maintenance, or if unfortunately it's dead or structurally defective and has to be removed, that information will almost be live update as soon as the inspector is at the property. So it'd be nice to have the map as a tool to sync with some of our other communications that we leave for the individual residents where a tree is being worked at. We're also excited to include all of our future tree planting projects on the map as well. So maybe this fall, when we start planning for our spring tree planting in 2026, residents will start to see some nice new dots and new locations pop up on the tree map, indicating where new street trees are going to be planted next spring.
That's great. I don't know if you have this information or not, but is this something that other departments within the county are looking at implementing, say like water resources management, or is that maybe not a conversation yet?
A few of them are our wastewater department. They have or our solid waste department has a map showing where garbage collection routes are. So we kind of took some of our inspiration from some of the work that they're doing. Um, as a corporation as a whole, we're looking at updating a lot of our IT services and software. So I think it's going to be something that's going to be rolled out more in the future. Definitely, some of the larger municipalities have pretty robust mapping and sharing project information with the residents. So that's definitely our long-term goal is to get to that point.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Like one big map or something that had, and you could filter between different types of projects that are going on based on what you're interested in. That would be the goal, I
Yeah.
suppose, eventually with lots of funding and lots of time and lots of effort, which seems to always be in short supply when you want to get something done. But that sounds great. I think that that's going to be really helpful for the people in your community, and hopefully that'll inspire other counties to also get on board with doing something similar. I think that would be great.
Mhm.
Um, we're kind of flying through this conversation so far. It's almost like you were prepared or something. So that's the end of my hard questions. If there was anything else that you were interested in sharing with students or just regular people who like to watch these videos or landowners or anything, now I guess is your open floor for doing so.
Um, yeah, to kind of keep it career focused, there's continual learning. Learning is never done. Especially in the forestry area, in municipalities, a lot of it is pretty broad based. So there's always more specific certifications to look at, such as the butternut health expert, which is applicable for forestry as well as like environmental planning, environmental consulting. So looking at how to manage the endangered butternut trees within the Ontario Registry, and applying the permits and everything, and the permits and figuring out what to do with the trees, how to protect them if they need to be removed, kind of everything that's going on with that, which is really important. It's not a very well known qualification, but it is important for anyone that's working in those landscapes, especially kind of along the Niagara Escarpment. There's quite a few butternut trees in that area, so that's important. Looking at all the different pesticide licenses and certifications and classifications. So invasive species is a hot topic these days, and for some of them. Unfortunately, the best option is a chemical control given the unique circumstances and where they are. So it is important to understand what that process is, which certifications are required for certain areas, what's allowed, what's not allowed, is really important. And it's another tool in the toolbox for helping to fight those invasive species. There's Yeah, there's so many of those offshoot certifications. The ISA has the tree risk assessment, which is super important for anyone that's looking at a career in the municipal sector. It is basically a protocol that helps teach you how to evaluate the risk on a tree, which is kind of the first step before deciding if there's any management objectives required for trimming or removing a tree. Also widely important for anyone that's looking into private consulting. It's a great certification to have. A lot of the municipalities are looking at implementing private tree bylaws. Some of the bigger ones, Hamilton, Burlington, I believe Brantford, City of Toronto, they all have private tree bylaws. So if for anyone that's looking at going into consulting, it would be an important certification to have, as the municipality is going to be looking for that higher level of assessment when they're evaluating those reports. Um, yeah, and that's all I can think of right now. If anyone has any questions, feel free to share my contact information. If anyone's looking for a specific stream or looking to get into any of the different fields of arboriculture, urban forestry, landscape architecture, or forestry, definitely feel free to reach out and yeah, I'll try to help out and answer the questions best I can.
Well, that's greatly appreciated, and all of those certifications are definitely good to know, especially the more specific ones that maybe don't get talked about as much or aren't included in maybe some post-secondary programs that currently exist. It's a great way to set yourself apart and also to have a more holistic understanding of everything that's going on, especially for the invasive species. I'm glad that you mentioned that as well, especially around Norfolk Haldimand. I'm in Brantford, so that I understand that that's a little bit of a hot topic at the moment, but it seems to be growing more so everywhere. So I appreciate your time today and all of your advice and hearing about your experiences, and I'm sure that it'll help at least one person figure out what they're interested in, or at least send you an email and see if that's something that they're interested in. So
That would be
thank you so
wonderful.
much for your time. And if there's no more words of wisdom, then we'll call it nice and early today. And I wish you a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.